That's fucking great.
I want to get into a movie that you popped up in that I didn't know you were in. Because again, you're not a bragger either. Of like, hey man, I've got this. Whereas the rest of us usually are. Of like, I'm shooting this fucking huge thing. You should probably look out for it. It's gonna be awesome. I remember sitting in a movie theater. I went to go see Jack Reacher, and dude,
Oh yeah.
typically everybody would be like, "Yo, man," your friends would be like, "I'm starring in a movie with Tom Cruise." You didn't say two words about it. And I went and saw it in the movie theater, and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck, Mike? You're in a goddamn movie with Tom Cruise?" And you were like, "Oh,
I
yeah,
love
yeah."
that moment though, dude. I love the discovery. I love when I hear like
I
I
know.
went to go see this fucking movie and you were fucking there. What the fuck? I love that.
Yeah, because I remember we went to a bar or something. I go a couple weeks later, and I was like, "Yo, dude, I went to see Jack Reacher. You're in that motherfucker." You were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." It was a little thing I did, and I was like, "No, you were in a movie with Tom Cruise, like a huge action budget movie." How was it like working with him? Because I've talked about on my show before meeting him. He was a fucking one of the most fantastic people I've ever met in my entire life. Did you have the same
Isn't he?
experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so fucking sweet, man. I think I might have told you this before, but you know, my meeting him was I really kind of I don't know how it's happened. I kind of blacked out and lost my shit for a moment. Um, Not because of any. Well, all right. So here's what happened. I was in Atlanta on a job, and I heard that Chris McCoy wanted to Skype with me about Jack Reacher, and I kind of have a thing where I was like, listen, when I'm on a job, I don't like to read other scripts. I don't like to look at other things. I believe in brain germs. It'll take me out of what I'm trying to accomplish on this thing,
Sure.
and on the thing I was doing in Atlanta was like a 9-page scene, which never fucking happens in film and television. That's like
Ever.
a theater
Yeah.
scene. And so I had a lot of work to get through, and I want to kind of focus on that. And so I was like, no, thanks, man. I can deal with it after this. And my managers are sort of like, all right, we'll go back with that, and then they call back 20 minutes later, like, yeah, dude, he's got to talk to you like now to make a decision on this thing. And I was like, well, just tell him to decide not to have me in it then, because I was in, if I were working for him, I would insist on the same thing.
Sure.
I just can't break myself away from this and to do an audition over Skype, and I'm just not interested. And so I said, all right. And then they call back, and I feel like my managers and agents sort of powwow and were like, how do we explain to Mikey that he's going to take this fucking Skype call? Because they came back and they're like, look, dude, it's going to be fucking 10 minutes. It's not going to fuck up your preparation for this other thing. And it's not an audition. He just wants to talk to you. And I was like, oh, he just wants to talk? Fine. Let's do that then. And I was like, if you could have just told me that from the beginning, and it would have saved us this whole thing. That now my head is fucked for tomorrow. But anyway, so I get done thing, and Chris McCoy offers me a role, and says, can you come up to Pittsburgh? When are you done shooting this thing? And I, it was like a couple of days. He's like, well, can you come straight up to Pittsburgh after that, and we'll do wardrobe, and you can pick out the car you're going to drive, and et cetera. Kind of sit down and talk about it. And I was like, absolutely. And I was a big fan of his beforehand. Obviously, Usual Suspects he wrote, and
Yeah.
directed a movie called The Way of the Gun, which I was a fan of.
Big fan of that movie as well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I was honored to work with him, but I got to do things kind of by my process or whatever. And so anyway, long story short, I fly into Pittsburgh. First night I'm there, they stick me in the hotel. And then I get a phone call that says, Paramount has a bunch of executives in town and they're having a dinner tonight. Would you like to attend? And I was sort of, I got nothing else to do in Pittsburgh tonight. So yeah, sure, I'll go. Great. It's going to be here. It starts at 8 p.m. or whatever. So I show up like at 8:20 thinking like at this point, some of the other actors would have shown up or whatever. But no, I'm the only fucking actor there. And a bunch of executives whom I've never met, but who all of them say they know you,
Right.
And so I'm sitting there just standing in the corner like it's a funeral, staring at my feet and holding a drink. And, people will come up and like, hey, how you doing? I'm Brad. I'm with the accounting team at Paramount. We're so stoked you're here,
Thanks, Brad.
Or like,
Appreciate it, Brad. Here's my W-9 for you.
Department. We're fucking stoked. And you're like, right on, Steve. Thanks, man. But you're never going to remember their faces and things. You probably should. I'm just not good at that. But at any rate, eventually Tom comes sort of marching in with Katie Holmes. They were married at the time still. And she's actually from Toledo, Ohio. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. Okay. Oh, yeah. She popped down to Ohio State once.
Copy that.
Actually made out with one of my roommates. So.
So anyway, I'm standing there, and there's Tom, and his security detail sort of peels off at the threshold, and he literally he does that thing that he does that's super intense, where he locks eyes with you. You know?
Oh,
he
yeah.
comes marching right up to me. I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck am I gonna say to this dude? And he comes up, he sticks his hand out, and he goes, "How you doing, man? I'm Tom. I'm a big fan." That's what he said to me.
Whoa.
I was like, fucking dude, get the fuck. What are you talking about, man? I was like, first of all, you don't need to introduce yourself to me. Second of all, big fan. Come on, bro. And I mean, this dude didn't like think about it and skip a beat. And it wasn't a joke. He was deadly serious. He was like, no, dude, I'm a producer on this thing. If you think I haven't seen every single thing you've ever put on camera, you're out of your mind. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, he's an intense guy, man.
He's an intense guy. He's that guy that you see in the movies. And so I was like, I was kind of moved by that. I was like, well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say. And then he kind of goes into his small talk spiel, whatever. He's got his arms folded. And he's like, I tell you what, man, it's going to be a great film. Great film. He's like, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm really excited. He's like, yeah, we got a great cast, man. Just a great cast. Well, there's you, there's me, there's Bobby Duvall and Rosamund Pike and Richard Jenkins. And he's going on. And when he said Bobby Duvall, I had this this is where I get into like the blackout brain fart thing where I was like, and I said, Tom, am I fucking crazy? Or you and Robert Duvall have worked together before, right? And he goes, yeah. Years ago, we did a picture called Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder, yeah.
Dude, and I was so embarrassed that I didn't have that, because I've seen Days of Thunder. When I was in my college years, I watched it a thousand times. Cole Trickle was badass, you know what I mean? And that's the most NASCAR I've ever watched in my life. But for some reason, I don't know why this makes no sense to me even today, but I want him to know that, of course, I knew he was in the movie with Robert Duvall called Days of Thunder. I started involuntarily reciting lines from the movie.
To his face?
Bobby Duvall lines to Tom Cruise. I go, Cole, I want you to go out there and hit the pace car. And he was like, what? I go, hit the pace car. You hit every other goddamn thing on that track. I want you to be perfect. And he starts giving me Cole Trickle lines.
No way.
Dude, it was fucking insane. It was like an out-of-body experience. Like when you start saying something that you shouldn't,
yeah,
it's coming out of your mouth and you're seeing it. You're like, this is a bad idea. I shouldn't be saying this. I should just stop. But you can't. You have to see it through, kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah. Done it many times in my life.
Was happening. And then when he came back, it was such a relief. And then I went forward, and then he went forward. Then it just sort of erupted into backslapping and laughing. And it was really sweet. He could have been such a dick about that. But he was so cool about it, and I was so relieved.
The fact that he just started dropping Cole Trickle lines, I'm surprised he remembered. I'm one of those people, I can't remember any lines from any movie I've done.
Right.
I just, once the project is over, it's almost as if it never happened to me unless I watch it again.
Right.
I forget all of the lines, everything, and it's people will come up and quote things, and I'm like, I vaguely remember it, but I'm not good at it.
You kind of have to, because you got to make room for the next movie or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
But at the same time, he's had some iconic scenes with some iconic actors.
Sure.
Some of those you kind of remember. I'm sure Jack Nicholson of course, remembers the "you can't handle the truth" scene. You know?
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, because it gets it gets spouted off to you so many times out in public and whatnot.
You're probably annoyed by it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say this about Tom Cruise and tell me, because again, I've told this story to the audience before, but when you meet him, he's one of those guys where everyone in the entire room is staring at Tom Cruise the entire time. Like,
yeah,
their eyes don't leave him just because they're fascinated that Tom Cruise is in the room with them. And it doesn't matter. He's able to separate it, that there's a million people staring at him and solely focus on you and talk to you and make you feel like you're the most important person in the world and that he's known you for like 30 years. Did you have that same?
Absolutely. He's really great about that. I mean, he's an intense listener.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But he's very gracious and very sweet. I think he's been doing it for so long where people have been staring at him like that he's learned how to, sink down and really be able to focus on one person at a time. And like you said, really make them feel like
special.
They're the only person in the world. I always thought it'd be a good idea to have Tom Cruise around if I was going to commit a crime. Like,
oh, for
Tom,
sure.
Just stand over here while I go inside this bank and hold it up.
Because he would know.
Nobody's going to give a shit.
Yeah, and not only that, but he would also know every move to get you out of it and do it cool, calm, and collected. Where you're just like, shit.
Well, the guy can fly a helicopter, so I just keep the chopper running. I'll be in a second.
Yeah, there's nothing Tom Cruise can't do better than you. That's what I always say.
That's true.
Because he does all of his own stunts. So he's driven race cars. He's flown planes. He's jumped off of buildings. You name it, that guy's fucking done it. So
he's hung on the outside of a jumbo jet and Rogue, whatever Mission Impossible, Rogue One or Rogue Nation. That was actually him on the outside of a jumbo jet during takeoff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
Ridiculous. Like when I saw that video online, I remember thinking to myself, nah, I would have used the stunt guy. Like, no hesitation whatsoever.
100%, dude. I would have been on the craft service table or my trailer.
Yep. Yeah. Grab that stunt guy from South Carolina or whoever that is and pop him in here because I'm not fucking doing that shit. Tom, on the other hand, is like, nope, we need it to be real and I need to do this or it didn't happen. And you're like, oh, okay. All right, fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Go get it, Tom.
Fire away.